In this video, we'll review phrases to help you participate in a discussion. There are 5 important things to remember when disagreeing. First, listen carefully. Second, stay open-minded. Third, have reasons. Fourth, remember it's about the topic, not the person. And fifth, stay polite and respectful. And to do that, we use the front part of many of these in phrases. So when disagreeing, it's important to use respectful language. For example, I see what you're saying, but, and then you can say what you think. Or, that's a good point, but from my perspective, or, but in my opinion, I get your point, but that isn't the way I see it. Instead, true, that is a fair point, but I have to say I disagree. I understand where you're coming from, but there is some truth to what you're saying, but don't you think that? I'm afraid I disagree. That's interesting, but I think, yes, but on the other hand, I see it differently because I respectfully disagree. And some phrases for agreeing, that's a good point. I agree, or I totally agree. That's right. That's so true. I couldn't agree more. So the so is optional, and the more you emphasize so, then that shows the strength of your agreement. So you could say, that's so true, or you could say, that's so true. And then, I couldn't agree more. Remember, this shows strong agreement. It doesn't mean that you don't agree. It means you could not agree more than you agree. And now we have phrases for adding on. So you're adding an idea or an opinion on to other people's. I'd like to add. Another example is adding to what so-and-so said, or building upon what so-and-so said. Next, making connections. That connects to, or that idea connects to, I can relate to that because, and then you would share something about your experience or some situation that relates to or connects to what somebody said. What you said made me think, I'd like to go back to what so-and-so said, and clarifying and asking for clarification. So in this case, you are rephrasing what somebody said just to check that you understand accurately, just to be sure. We have, you mean, to be clear, you're saying, could you help me explain? What makes you think that? So remember, tone is very important with this one. So I'll give it to you 2 ways. So if you were to say, what makes you think that? Then it's very judgmental. So you want a nice gentle tone, a tone of curiosity, like this. What makes you think that? Can you explain what you mean? And again, tone could be important here too, right? It's not, can you explain what you mean? It's, can you explain what you mean? And you could say, can you explain what you mean by that? And finally, in other words, blah, blah, right? Sometimes in a discussion, you need some time to prepare your thoughts. You're not ready to answer, you don't have an idea yet. So to keep the conversation flowing, we use one of these phrases. And you should still be listening to others, but often ideas will pop into our head, or something somebody says just makes us, think about something and have an idea. So buying time to think, we can say, I need to think about it, or I'll have to think about that, or I'm not sure, I need to think about it. And our goal in discussions is not to change people's mind. It's not a debate, although these can be used in debates too. But sometimes, even in a discussion, we hear somebody's idea or opinion, and we actually do change our mind because we get new information or a new perspective or a new way of seeing something that we hadn't thought of before. When that happens, you can say, I see blah blah differently now because, and then state the reason. Or I used to think blah blah, but now I think blah blah. And of course, in a discussion or even a conversation, when you are uncomfortable answering somebody's question, you absolutely do not need to answer. And we have ways of doing that. Some are more direct than others, but to be polite, we don't say, I don't want to answer that. So to be more polite, we can use, I'd rather not say, or I'd prefer not to say. So I'd here stands for I would. So this is spoken English, so we don't really say I would rather not say. We say I'd rather not say, or I'd prefer not to say. And another method is a little less direct, and we're diverting attention, shifting the attention away from ourselves and the question by saying, so and so was saying, and then you bring back in something that somebody said earlier. And finally, you could use, I'll tell you later. Now, this doesn't mean that you will tell anybody later. In some cases, maybe you might tell one person in a group something later, but for our purposes, we're just using it as an indirect way to not answer the question and to keep the flow going, and people will understand that you're not comfortable answering or you don't want to answer. So you can say, I'll tell you later. And if somebody says that, you should respect that and not pressure them to answer any question they don't want to answer.